Jeff Bremer, as city manager, you kind of oversee the big picture here, and as well as the smaller details. But let's talk first about the need for this bridge. Why are we building this bridge over the river?
Well, I think that the most important aspect of the bridge, which has been contemplated for over 30 years and is in the history books, is because we're a growing community. And we knew that we were going to be growing, and our potential for a population growth is near 400,000. So there had always been the anticipation that a third crossing would be necessary in order to accommodate the traffic flow. It will relieve traffic, it will provide an additional route, it will provide another route into US 1, which will help eventually, in my opinion, spur some economic development. So when we look at the history of the city, we had always anticipated that third crossing, knowing that we would be growing to the size that our potential holds for us.
So really two very important issues are at stake here, which is the traffic flow and economic development of the east side town.
That's correct, yes.
You said that the city's been looking at this for many years, so obviously many citizens are aware of it. How has the public support been for this project?
Well, so far the public support has been awesome. I mean, if you go back to the day when we first started the financing of it, when we put the vote before the residents of this town, they voted almost 89% in favor of the funding mechanism necessary for that third crossing. So we have a history not only of understanding the necessity of the crossing, but the public certainly has shown their total support in a high way for that crossing.
So this beautiful St. Lucie River behind us is a great asset to Port St. Lucie. Why does it matter so much to our community?
I believe that it is a part of our overall environmental stewardship, that we protect the assets that are important to the community. And we've identified the North Fork as a part of that huge asset that incorporates within the city of Port St. Lucie. And so we don't take that lightly. And if you look at the history of Port St. Lucie, one of the important factors that we did is we agreed to purchase and take over 1,083 acres that border along this pristine river. We not only did that, but then we also, in an environmental stewardship friendly way, we preserved that 1,083 acres by working with the state to make sure that that property would remain. From my standpoint, the environmental stewardship that we have shown just from the simple preservation of the 1,083 acres, which GDC could have highly developed with townhomes and homes and changed the entire character. So our first effort at environmental stewardship is vested in the North Fork by that 1,083 acres of selling that to the state with an understanding, by the way, that we were going to have that third crossing. We did that, and we had that discussion with the state that we were going to need to have the right-of-way over the North Fork. So they knew back in the 1980s that we were going to have that third access and that third crossover of the North Fork.
Patricia Roebling, you've been involved with the engineering side of this project for many, many years now, and it's been real important to get the bridge built and protect the river at the same time. There's been a lot to make that happen.
Absolutely. I mean, we go back to 1980 when this river crossing was included in our comprehensive plan, even as far back as 1980. And as Jeff noted, we've been talking about this for a very long time. There were studies that were done even prior to the project development and environment study that was performed, even before then, about different routes, studying different routes to cross the river. So we started that study process back in 2003, and there were alternatives that we were looking at first before we even looked at alternatives to cross the river with a new crossing. For instance, back in the study process, we looked at tunneling the river.
A tunnel underneath. A
tunnel underneath the river, yes. We looked at double-deckering the two bridges that currently cross. We looked at a flyover at US 1. None of those options were viable. And then we got down to basically the no-build and 6 options. All of the crossings, all 6 of them, have an impact to the river and to the wetlands and to the uplands. They're all impacting. So we had to look, we had to vet it through for 11 years we did, and working with all of the agencies to determine which was the best alternative, the most prudent alternative for crossing the river. One of the things we did in the study process is we went ahead and worked with the Florida Department of Environmental Protection. We actually went to Tallahassee and we created what's called a memorandum of understanding with them to mitigate, and what I mean by mitigate the impacts is to basically offset or compensate for the impacts to the wetlands and the uplands. We worked with them to create a memorandum of understanding, and it was approved in 2010. And we got our final approval of the environmental impact statement, and the preferred alternative is 1C. Again, I can't stress enough, it's not something that the city just picked. I mean, obviously at the public hearing that happened back in 2011, numerous residents came out in support of the preferred alternative 1C. It's a great environmental package we put together. We've followed all the rules, we've dotted our I's, we've crossed our T's for 11 years. And here we are today, and we're really moving and shaking. We're getting this thing going.